After Moses came the warrior, a man of strength, strategy, and faith. His name was Joshua, the general said to have led ancient Israel across the Jordan River, brought down the walls of Jericho, and conquered Canaan in the name of God. But did this really happen? Was Joshua a historical figure who carved his name into the land with blood and fire? Or is he a literary creation, a symbol of conquest and obedience? Today, we dig into ancient texts, archaeology, and competing historical theories to uncover the truth behind one of the Bible's most dramatic warriors. According to the Old Testament, Joshua was Moses' assistant and chosen successor, a man of war, one of the original 12 spies who scouted the Promised Land, the only one, along with Caleb, who believed it could be taken. When Moses died, Joshua took command, not just of a people, but of a mission, to claim the land promised to their ancestors. In the book of Joshua, he leads a military campaign across the region, from Jericho to Ai to the southern and northern kingdoms of Canaan, a warrior guided by divine instruction and feared by Israel's enemies. The conquest story is legendary. Joshua crosses the Jordan River, which miraculously parts just as the Red Sea had under Moses. His first target, Jericho, a city with high walls and strong defences. But instead of siege engines, Joshua uses ritual marching in silence for 6 days, then blasting trumpets on the 7th. Then the walls collapse, the city falls. It's described as total destruction. Men, women, children, animals, all devoted to the sword. From there, Joshua's army defeats city after city, supposedly without losing a single battle. The land is divided among the 12 tribes, and Israel finally settles in Canaan. But this is where the story starts to blur. Does the historical record support the story of Joshua? Archaeologists have been investigating sites like Jericho, Ai, and Hazor for decades. At first, early digs seemed to confirm parts of the conquest narrative. But deeper studies brought controversy. At Jericho, evidence of a destroyed city wall does exist. But you know, the most significant destruction layer actually dates to around 1550 BCE, which is much earlier than Joshua's supposed conquest, usually placed around 1200 BCE. At Ai, the biblical description doesn't really match the ruins, and well, some scholars even argue that Ai may not have been inhabited at the time. Others say Joshua's conquest wasn't a rapid and overwhelming conquest, but more like a slow infiltration or even perhaps a peaceful settlement. There are 3 major views among scholars today. First, the conquest model, which supports the biblical version. Some conservative archaeologists still argue for historical accuracy, citing partial evidence and gaps in the record. Second, the peaceful infiltration model, which suggests the Israelites gradually moved into the land over time, not through war, but settlement. And third, the mythic literary model, which says Joshua's story was written centuries later to unite a scattered people with a heroic origin myth. In this view, Joshua represents more than just a man. He symbolizes divine favor, military strength, and national identity. Across the Abrahamic faiths, Joshua stands at the border between wandering and belonging, between obedience and conquest. For Jews, Joshua represents the fulfillment of God's covenant with Israel. He turns divine promise into land, law, and national identity. Joshua is not a prophet, but a faithful leader, chosen to complete the Exodus by guiding Israel into their inheritance. His story defines a core phase of Jewish history, the conquest and settlement of the Promised Land under God's command. In Christianity, beyond his historical role, Joshua is often seen as a type or foreshadowing of Jesus Christ. This is partly due to their shared name. Yehoshua is the Hebrew form of Jesus, both meaning Yahweh is salvation. Just as Joshua led the Israelites into a physical land of rest, Jesus leads believers into spiritual salvation and eternal rest. Joshua's victories over enemies in Canaan are also seen as a parallel to Jesus' triumph over sin and death. In Islam, Joshua is known as Yusha ibn Nun, a righteous companion of Prophet Musa or Moses. Though he's not named in the Quran, Islamic tradition holds that he was present during key events and possibly the servant of Moses in Surah Al-Kahf. He's remembered as a man of deep obedience and humility, really a servant of God's plan, not a political king. For Rastafari, Joshua may not be a central prophet, but he carries symbolic weight. He represents divine leadership, spiritual militancy and resistance to Babylon, a world system of oppression. His role as the one who enters the land, clears corruption and enforces Jah's order resonates with Rastafari themes of justice, struggle and liberation. So, who was Joshua? A real commander? A tribal legend? A literary archetype of strength and faith? We may never have definitive proof, but whether he conquered cities or minds, Joshua's impact still echoes through history, religion and culture. The warrior may be ancient, but the questions he raises are timeless. What do you think? Was Joshua a real military leader or a symbol of something deeper? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We are listening. And if you found this exploration thought-provoking, subscribe to the Primal Text for more.